What's up, guys? In this video, I'm going to be sharing the story of how I went from, running a little sales agency to becoming a millionaire in under 2 years with No Code SaaS. And now I guess that term millionaire can be dependent on the definition we're using. I'm not a liquid millionaire, but if I were to sell my No Code SaaS, which you guys know as Closify, we have gotten, multi 7-figure acquisition offers. So if I were to sell everything that I own, then by definition, I would have, well over $1 million. So, but I'm going to be sharing exactly how you guys can replicate this and how this is actually the best opportunity right now. And if you guys don't necessarily believe me, someone that's been blowing up lately, Iman Godsi, he just put out a YouTube video saying that he actually shut down his marketing agency that he'd been running for, I don't even know, since like 2016 maybe, so like 6 years, to go all in on his software company. And now while his software company is built from a fully custom coded tech stack, that doesn't take away that no code is just as good of an opportunity, because they're actually seeing the same multipliers as some of these fully custom coded tech stacks. But also you can start off with no code, which is very affordable to start. And then if it makes sense, and only if it makes sense, you can then transition into a custom coded tech stack once the timing makes sense. So I'm going to be laying out the complete blueprint for you guys, from how do you get your idea, how do you build the first version, how do you market it, get first users, how do you improve it, how do you scale it, client acquisition channels, how to prepare for an exit. I'm going to be going through the whole 9 yards with you guys in this video. So watch till the end. Drop a thumbs up if you guys like this type of content. This is a little bit outside my just like typical building sales team realm, but I'm trying to make content now more that I actually like to make, rather than just strictly sales related content. So if you guys like this content, let me know in the comments and I'll put out more videos like this. But anyways, let's dive into the video and talk about how you guys can actually start your own no code software and grow it. So actually, before we even dive into the first step, I just want to give you a few reasons why you should start a no code SaaS, and why I believe it's the best opportunity out of anything right now. And so the first reason is going to be that the fulfillment is the software. So for example, if you run an ad agency, once you close a client, you still have to, actually run their ads, manage their ads. And then not only that is, if you don't perform, then, you could have to refund them or whatever. And there's a lot of headaches involved. You're dealing with clients, etc. With software, as soon as you close a client, they just use the software, and that's the fulfillment. It's a little different for Closify, because we have to continuously source new sales reps and upload them into Closify as part of the fulfillment. So it's not like completely automated software, but the fulfillment is still significantly less than if we were like a recruitment agency. So fulfillment is, a lot less manual labor. It's a lot easier. And with that being said, it actually allows you to have higher margins. So software companies run at extremely high margins. So, if someone has an e-com brand that's doing $1 million a year, they probably only made, if they have good margins, $200,000 off that, 1 million in revenue. Whereas software company, or not multipliers, margins can be as high as anywhere from like 70 to 80%. And that's like at scale. And so really high margins, very profitable businesses. And then the main reason why you should get into it, and why I got into it, why Iman's doing it, why, all these super wealthy people are getting into software, is because they have huge exit multipliers. And so if you're a younger and like a smaller software company, like you can still get up to like a 5x multiplier on profit. So if you're doing between like 0 and $1 million per year, and you're only like 1 to 2 years old, like you're probably going to get around like a 5x multiplier on profit. Maybe you'll be able to get higher if it's just like, a strategic buyer, or if it's someone that, sees a very clear growth path for it. But like pretty conservatively, you're going to be around like that 5x multiplier range. But then where it gets really interesting is if you keep the company for longer and you become a company that's, 3, 4, 5 years old, and you guys pass that like $2 million a year mark in revenue, now your multipliers are getting up towards 7x, 8x, 9x, 10x. And I've even seen them go even higher. And obviously they've calmed down a little bit, obviously like a year ago when VCs were throwing money out like crazy. I mean, there were some ridiculous multipliers on software companies. So they've calmed down a little bit, but anywhere between a 5 to 10x multiplier on profit is pretty crazy. So then for you to become, a quote unquote millionaire in software, you really just need to get one to like $200,000 in profit per year to be able to sell it for about $1 million. And, that might sound challenging or hard to do for some of you listening right now, but after doing it in, the last like 16 months, because when I started Closify, I had some business knowledge, but I had no knowledge on, no code SaaS. And, we've crossed that mark, and we did it in Q4 of last year. And so it's really not as challenging as you may think. And so now that I've kind of explained why you should get into no code SaaS, an agency, you're going to get like maybe a 2 or 3x multiplier on profit, and you have, fulfillment and clients and all these other things. And, I'm obviously always going to be a big proponent for getting into sales. I still think if you're trying to make your first dollar online, sales is a great vehicle to do that. But then once you get into sales and you make your first bit of money, I think you should get into no code SaaS next. And so with all that being said, the step one is actually coming up with an idea, right? And so we have to do market research. And so to do market research, you have to immerse yourself in a niche. So for me, for example, I was immersed in the marketing agency community. I had actually just joined Iman Gadzhi's course in 2020. And so I was talking to all these agency owners on a daily basis. And I was the only person in the group chat that had a sales agency. And so everyone was hitting me up with sales related questions, whether how to handle objections or where to find salespeople or if they could hire me. And they didn't want to work with a sales agency because they didn't like that I outsourced the sales calls. And so all of a sudden they were all like, hey, we will pay you if you can find us good sales reps. And so I learned that all of them wanted in-house sales reps. And then I stumbled upon the recruitment business model, conducted interviews, and I basically realized that people hate recruiters for 3 reasons. They're too expensive, they take too long, and they really just make all their money off of sales training. And so they're inexperienced reps, and so they don't perform very well. And so I set out to solve those 3 problems that I found were recurring problems. I solved them, and that's how Closify was born. So the first one is immerse yourself in a market and conduct interviews. Look for recurring problems or a recurring inconvenience. And then from that, you're going to formulate some sort of idea. Once you get that idea, you want to run it through a checklist. So you want to look at, how big is the total addressable market? Is this something that is going to be able to scale to $200,000 a year or more? Is someone already doing something similar successfully? You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You can copy something that's working and put your own twist on it or make one improvement and be very, very successful. I've seen many people do this. Another great question to ask is this going to make someone more money, or is it going to save them time, or ideally both? And so you basically want to ask yourself some of these questions to kind of make sure it's going to be worth it before you go ahead and, try to dive into it. But so after this, you're going to have an idea formulated. So back to my example, back to my example, this was me selling access to a database where people just paid me to literally get access to salespeople's contact information. But I had verified their experience beforehand. And I was like, hey, these are all good salespeople. If you want access to their information, just pay me. I think it was $97 at the time. So then step 3 is you actually want to sell it before you build it. And so again, I was literally selling access to like an Excel spreadsheet, right? So like it was nothing, no code, like not even really a product, but you want to sell it before you actually build it. And so it's still my pinned thread to this day. And I launched Closify with this thread. It blew up. It got over 500 likes. And the ending call to action is to DM me Closify if you're looking to hire salespeople. And I remember going to bed and I woke up the next morning to like 50 plus DMs of people wanting to hire salespeople. So that validated the idea for me, drove some money. Like I said, I was charging like $97. So drove some money and gave me the ability to go and actually build an actual product. So then I took that money and I paid someone $2,000 to build me my first no code product. And so it was like a mix of like Webflow CMS and Zapier and a couple other things that tied everything together, where it actually finally made like a little dashboard with salespeople's profiles and the ability to, like, if you clicked on schedule an interview, it would like open up an email tab and they could then email the person and set up an interview. So still not like a very great product, but it was like an actual product and it like looked presentable. I'll have to go and find a screenshot. If I can find a screenshot of it, maybe I'll pop it up on the screen. But it looked okay. It looked decent. And then I was able to pump some money into that. And so then the next step after you have a product that you can actually sell is you actually have to build out your client acquisition channels. So I started off launching it to my audience, which, if you guys have an audience, I would recommend you to do the same. If you don't have an audience, you can launch it on Product Hunt. You can post it in communities like Reddit threads and in Facebook groups. You can partner with someone that has an audience. You can form strategic partnerships, but if not, you can also start with a very affordable client acquisition channel, which I did shortly after launching to my audience, which is cold email. Very scalable. We currently, for over a year, we've gotten a lot of our business through cold email. It's very affordable. You literally just need to buy domains, and then your contact lists, and then use instantly for sending. Obviously, that's like very simplified, but it's very affordable. You'll be able to do it. And so you got to build out your client acquisition channels, cold email, cold LinkedIn, funnel money into it. As soon as you get money in, you're going to expand. Like as soon as we were able to pay for it, I hired an SEO agency. But so yeah, you're basically just going to start to get your first initial users. And then once you do that, you're going to listen to their feedback. And so you're going to interview every single user you have and take that feedback and then feed that feedback back into development and add new features and make new improvements and new changes based off of the feedback to make the product better. So then as the product is better, people talk about it more, your word of mouth is going to grow. But so yeah, you're going to listen to the feedback and throw it back into development. And if possible, you're going to want to now move on to a better product like building it inside of Bubble. And so Bubble is the best way I could describe Bubble is like Webflow, but for web apps, although it's definitely trickier. I personally don't know how to build inside of Bubble, but I've heard it'll only take you maybe a couple months to learn how to do it and how to build apps inside of Bubble. But I just hired a Bubble dev agency. They're not very expensive. I can get you discounted rates if you ever want to use them. And it's like incredible. Like we could have moved to custom code a long time ago, but we haven't because Bubble, there hasn't been a single thing Bubble can't do that going custom code would enable us to do. And also Bubble breaks less often and it's more affordable. So we've stayed on Bubble despite being able to go fully custom coded a long, long time ago. And so I would recommend moving on to Bubble as soon as you're able to financially afford doing so. Once you move on to Bubble, you're going to have like a really good product actually. And so it's going to be able to scale for a very long time. And so now that's what you have to do. You have to scale it. Going back to adding more customer acquisition channels, LinkedIn, SEO, content marketing, building a personal brand, strategic partnerships, referral programs, all those good things. I mean, building a sales team, I built my No Code SaaS, which is, a hiring platform to hire sales reps. And I built it up completely by using my own platform and building sales teams using my own platform. And so, I think that's one of the fastest ways to grow any business. Now, the caveat there is you have to have a decently priced company. So it's a huge win if you can charge a lot of money for your No Code SaaS, especially like upfront or just like really push annual plans and then have a sales team to push that. It's a really, really good strategy because then you also get a lot of cash in the bank upfront. And you extract more of that customer lifetime value up front, and then you can throw that back into development, back into marketing, et cetera, et cetera. And like I mentioned, so in the past, couple months, we've received a couple multi-7-figure acquisition offers, and I've learned a lot from this process, even though we're not looking to sell right now. And one of them was being that, we started off kind of as a couple kids that were looking to start a business, right? Like it wasn't a super serious thing necessarily, but then, I dropped out of school and then I moved to Miami and then the business started making hundreds of thousands of dollars and it became an actual business very quickly. And we did not have any of the proper accounting or legal set up from the beginning. You know what I mean? So even the little things, which luckily I did this part right at least, but opening a business bank account from the beginning, having a business credit card and a business debit card, and having the proper contracts between your clients and your contractors. Like all of your contractors should be signing a non-compete and non-disclosure agreement. You need to have a proper operating agreement for your cap table, who owns what, and making sure that's all ironed out, because that can lead to big problems if that isn't ironed out. You need to basically protect your company and protect your intellectual property of how you've grown your company. You need to have a balance sheet for your business. You need to have an easy to read P&L, profit and loss, something like in QuickBooks. You should have an accountant doing your books, and you should have, a tax strategist that you meet with frequently. There's all these little things that, I didn't know anything about, because I was just a 20-year-old kid that was like in college, kind of playing around with the idea of starting this company. And obviously no one had ever taught me anything about taxes or, like what type of company you should register as, or, any of the legal documents, anything like that. So I had no clue, and I didn't know any better. And so, having those things set up from the beginning is going to save you a lot of headache and money. And so you don't need to hire a lawyer from the beginning, but create a operating agreement on what is it called, like LegalZoom or something. I actually ended up using a lawyer to do all of my contracts and stuff, but I think it's called like LegalZoom, and you can use that, it's fine. And set up your own QuickBooks. Like, it's really easy to set up, like do all those things right. But that is the step-by-step process of how you can start a no-code SaaS. And obviously, there's so many other intricacies, like how to actually grow it, like cold email, that's a whole lesson in itself, LinkedIn, whole lesson in itself. And so obviously we don't have enough time to go through all the intricacies, but those are the steps that you take from, idea creation, doing market research, all the way to putting yourself in a position where you can exit. You have easy to read financials, you have the contracts, you have a customer base, you have recurring revenue, you have the systems, and you have the SOPs, and the company can run on its own. And so then you'll be very well positioned for, a 7-figure exit, as long as you can get to $200,000 per year, which again, it's really not as difficult as you think. This is coming from someone that, did that in his first year. So I believe in you guys. And if you guys want help with this process, I'm looking to work with a few people on starting a no-code SaaS. So if that is of interest to you, you basically just need to have some sort of business acumen already, preferably, as well as, the capital to deploy into, excuse me, into building a product, that MVP. So whether it's on Bubble, or if it's on a different tech stack, you need to have the capital for that. But yeah, I'm looking to help a few people start their first no-code SaaS and scale it up over the course of a couple months. So if that's of interest to you, shoot me a message, or I'll put a link in the comments for you guys to book a call, or you can just DM me on Twitter. Either works, and I appreciate it. If you guys like this video, leave a like, leave a comment, and I'll start posting more content soon. See ya.